Hello, welcome to the Class Permission Numbers training video. In this video, I will be explaining the Class Permissions page in PeopleSoft. The Class Permissions page is used by staff members to generate class permission numbers, which can then be used by students, advisors, faculty, or staff to override an error when enrolling a student in a class. Class permission numbers can be used by students when enrolling via self-service add, and administrators when enrolling students via quick enroll. Navigation to the Class Permissions page is Records and Enrollment, Term Processing, Class Permissions, Class Permissions. One important class permission number concept is that there are 4 situations where class permission numbers should be generated. First, when a class is closed or full because the enrolled student count matches the enrollment capacity, but you would like to still enroll a student in that class. Second, when a student does not meet the requisites for a class as defined in PeopleSoft. Third, when a class requires department consent or instructor consent. And fourth, when the academic career of a student does not equal the career of the class. Another important concept is to never click the View All hyperlink on the Class Permissions page. Clicking View All will restrict the functionality of this page. You also want to remember to click the Save button after you've generated the permission number and entered the supporting data. Staff members often generate the permission number but forget to click the Save button. Unused permission numbers can be edited to add or correct overrides. An example of when this situation would apply would be if you check the Requisites Not Met checkbox initially when creating a permission number, but before the student to whom you issued the permission number could enroll, the class filled up. In this case, you could return to the Class Permissions page, check the Closed Class checkbox on the permission number for that student, and click the Save button. The student would then be able to use that permission number to enroll in a class, even though he or she does not meet the requisites and the class is closed. Permission numbers cannot be reused. If a student uses a permission number to enroll in a class, but then drops the class, a new permission number must be generated in order for that student to re-enroll in that class. The ID and name fields will be populated when a permission number is successfully used by a student. Although the student's ID is entered at the time the permission number is issued, the number is not restricted to that student. This field is for tracking purposes only. The status field updates from not used to used upon successful enrollment in a class by a student. Administrators can only create permission numbers for classes being offered by their department. In other words, an administrator working for the math department will not be able to create a permission number for a history class. You can view the department offering the class on the Maintain Schedule of Classes page, Academic Organization field in PeopleSoft. Permission numbers cannot be created for non-enrollment type classes. Examples of non-enrollment type classes include labs and recitations. Let's go check out the Class Permission Numbers page in PeopleSoft. To get to the Class Permissions page, click on Records and Enrollment, Term Processing, Class Permissions, Class Permissions. There are a number of criteria that can be entered on this search page to narrow your search results. So please use as many of these as you need to get to the specific class or classes for which you would like to create permission numbers. I am going to use Chem 310 for this example, so I will leave UPIT in the Academic Institution field, which you should always do as this is the only institution available. Then I'll enter the term 2161 into the term text box, Chem into the subject text box, 310 into the catalog number text box, and then click on Search. You then choose the row that you would like to view. I'm going to create the permission number for the Pittsburgh Campus Chem class, so I'll click on this first row that has a campus of Pitt. So this is a Class Permissions page. The top area of this page contains the course information. If I move down the page just a bit, I see the class section data area. This is a section where I will be creating the class permission number. A very important step to creating a permission number is to make sure that I am on the correct section or class of a course. As you can see, there are 10 sections of Chem 310 being offered in 2161, as indicated by the 1 of 10 on this page. There are 3 different ways to get to the section for which I would like to create a permission number on this page. The first way is to click the arrow buttons until I get to the class that I want. The second way is to click on the first or last hyperlink. This option is only effective if I want to go to the first or last section of a course. The third way is to click the Find hyperlink. This option allows me to type a class section number or a class number to go directly to that record. If I click on Find, type 1080 and then click OK, I am taken to the 1080 class section record. If I click Find and type 10256 and then click the OK button, I am taken to the 10256 class number record. One thing I do want to point out that was listed as one of the important concepts is the View All hyperlink. This is it. Please do not use it. Clicking on View All will restrict the functionality of this page. I would like to create a permission number for the first section of this course, so I click the first hyperlink, and I can now move on to the defaults area of the page. The expiration date, which is shown right here, is a date after which a permission number will no longer work. By default, the last day of the add drop period for that term is populated. If you would like to change this to another date, simply update the date to a new date. Administrators sometimes use this value if they would like to give a student 2, 3, or 4 days maybe to use a permission number to enroll in a class. If that were the case here, I would change the expiration date to 2, 3, or 4 days from today. I would like the student to whom this permission number is going to be issued to have until the end of the add drop period to use it, so I will leave the date that defaulted into this field as that date. The next area within defaults is the permission valid for area. This is where I will choose the overrides for which I want the permission number to be effective. It is really important that I do not check all of these checkboxes when creating a permission number. Doing this could put me, as a person who created a permission number, which can be verified in the system, in a bad situation. This also does a real disservice to the student because in some cases, the student may end up doing poorly in the class because he or she was not prepared for it, or is dropped out of the class, which can affect the student's full-time, part-time status. This can, of course, affect the amount of financial aid the student is eligible to receive. It is important to learn when to check which permission number checkbox. I only want to check the checkbox of the override that I would like to provide to the student. If a class has reached the enrollment limit and I want to exceed that enrollment limit by still allowing a student to enroll, I will check the closed class checkbox. If a student does not meet the requisites for a class, but I still want the student to be able to enroll in this class, I will check the requisites not met checkbox. If a class has department or instructor consent required, and I have verified with the department or instructor that a specific student should be permitted to enroll in this class, I will check the consent required checkbox. If a student's academic career does not equal the career of the class, but I still want that student to be able to enroll in that class, I will check the career restrictions checkbox. An example of this is if the class is a graduate class but the student is an undergraduate student. I can check multiple checkboxes if the situation requires me to do so, but only in those unique situations. For this example, I would like to allow a student to enroll in a class that is closed or full, so I will check the closed class checkbox. The next step is to enter the number of permission numbers that I would like to create. I would only like to create one, so I type 1 into the Assign More Permissions checkbox, and then click the Generate button. As a result of clicking the Generate button, the new permission number was created, and the Closed Class checkbox is checked. The next step is to enter the EMPL ID of the student to whom I am issuing this permission number on the Issued To tab. I can either type the EMPL ID directly into the text box or click the magnifying glass to search for the student's EMPL ID based on some search criteria. Once I've entered the Issued To EMPL ID, I click the Save button to save the permission number in the EMPL ID. This permission number is now ready to be issued to student 1947509. Once I have issued a permission number to that student, which can be done any number of ways depending on your school, division, or department's procedure, I need to check the Issued checkbox in the Save button again. This will record that the permission number has been issued to the student in PeopleSoft. At this point, the permission number creation process is complete. As you can see, there are a number of values that are not populated for this permission number. These values will be populated when a student actually uses a permission number to successfully complete an enrollment transaction. I'm going to go to another section of this course to show what a permission number record looks like on this page once it has been used. This is an example of a permission number record that has been used by a student to successfully complete an enrollment transaction. As you can see, all the fields for this record are now populated. You can return to the Class Permissions landing page by clicking on the Return to Search button. If you have any questions or would like to schedule additional training, please contact the Enrollment Services area in the University Registrar's Office at 412-624-7649 or registration@registrar.pitt.edu.